The Fox News religion contributor, Father Jonathan Morris, discussed a satanic protest in Oklahoma, and he has a curious understanding of free speech that he's going to share with us.
Hey everyone, a so-called black satanic mass is scheduled today in Oklahoma City.
A group of Satanists says they'll mock Catholic rituals and declare Jesus worthless, and it's all happening inside a public building, the city's Civic Center.
Yeah, over 215,000 people have signed a petition in protest, but the event is still set to happen just a few hours from now.
Joining us now with his take on the event is Fox News religion contributor and author of The Way of Serenity, Father Jonathan Morris. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Morning, Father.
I first want to get you to react, actually, to the leader of this whole thing. So let's take a listen to that.
Is it my duty as a vicar for the devil to spiritually attack his opponent, Ahura Mazda? Yes. Every Sunday, they're in their pulpits blaspheming my God. And they have the right to do that, but I don't have the right to do the same in return.
And the city says that they can't stop them, that they've had legal problems in the past that have cost them a lot of money, so they're going to let them do it.
Well, first of all, I feel bad for that gentleman and for anybody who would participate in it. I mean, I really feel bad. I mean, you get yourself into something that is, first of all, satanic, that is supernatural. They believe it. As soon as you connect yourself with evil, evil stuff happens. I feel very bad for him. Now, do they have a right to do it? Yes, they have a political right to do it. Does the Civic Center, does the city have also responsibility to defend the good governance of its people? Yes, and I think they have to think through this very well. Anybody who walks into for example, a crowded theater and yells fire, do they have a right to do it? Yes. Free speech? No. Why? Because you're inciting violence. When you have a group that does this, not just because they want to do their own little worship, but they are provoking anger and hatred among the community, the city can step in and say, you know what, that's not worship, that's not free speech, that's mockery, and you're inciting violence.
So this guy can't have 20 people who follow him. Clearly he wants publicity. Are Christians playing into his plan by taking a public stand against him? Should they ignore him or should they take him seriously?
You know, I think everybody has to decide that for themselves. If I didn't think it was worthwhile talking about this, I wouldn't talk about it today. It's worthwhile because you can learn principles from it. First of all, we can pray for that guy, honestly. Pray for his soul. Pray for his well-being, because you get involved in that stuff, it's just not good. But I think everybody has to decide. I'm glad somebody is out there saying this is wrong. If nobody said anything, would that be helpful? No. I mean, I think you have to make a decision for yourself.
The city says, though, that look, this is this is part of free speech. It's a civic center.
Well, Clayton,
they have a right as a civilian.
I get it, but what if I want to go and desecrate a Quran out in front of my church? What if I want to, speak pro-Nazi stuff right in front of my church and get people all fired up on a public sidewalk? I think there's at some point the government has to step in and say you can't incite violence in the name of free speech.
They're trolling you, you morons! They walk right into the trap every single time. What these guys are, what this group is, and I love them, by the way, they're a bunch of atheists. And they discovered something because they tried to win the legal battle while being totally honest. And they said, look, if you're going to allow, for example, Christian prayer to open up a legislative session at the state government level or local government level around the country, well, okay, the Constitution demands if you allow that, you have to allow a Hindu to do it every once in a while, a Buddhist to do it, a Jew to do it, a Muslim to do it, an atheist to do it, etc., etc. But what happened is when they tried that, the dumbass courts at the state level and local level that don't understand the Constitution decided, no, we're not going to allow atheists to do it. Now, when those get to the Supreme Court, some of them have gotten to the Supreme Court, and they were like, dude, our hands are tied. Of course you have to allow the atheists. But this keeps happening, so the cases keep rising through the ranks, and then eventually they'll get to the Supreme Court again, and they'll decide again, you of course have to allow the atheists to do it if you're allowing Christians to do it. But for the time being, a lot of these localities and states have struck down atheists from participating the same way Christians participate in prayer invocations and stuff like that, right? So what did these guys realize? Oh, okay, so we're unconstitutionally being discriminated against. Well, we'll just play your game too. We're devil worshippers. That's a religious belief. You can't tell me I can't give an opening prayer at a government meeting or something. If you're allowing the Christians, you got to allow the devil worshippers. Freedom of religion. Whatever religion we want, the government needs to represent everybody's belief. This is our belief. Look at our following. You have to allow us to do the speech at the beginning of a session because you allowed the Christians to do it. They're perfectly trolling you, and you walked right into the trap, you idiots. But that's the thing. It's Fox News. They don't know. They have no. They think those guys are actual devil worshippers. He's like, well, what we should do is pray for these people. We should pray for them. I can't believe how stupid they are. Not a single producer on the show, not a single host, and dunce boy, father, whatever. You like how respectful I am? They don't know. They don't know. And now let's get into his points on free speech, because he's very confused. In the United States of America, you can never, because of the First Amendment, you can never censor for religious views or political views. That 100% falls under free speech. So the examples he gives at the end, what if I were to desecrate the Quran? You would have a legal right to do that, and you should. You should have a legal right to desecrate the Quran, the flag of the United States of America, the Bible. That's what real patriotism is. Understanding that you live in a country that gives you the freedom to desecrate a Quran or a Bible or a flag, and you don't get put in jail. Try doing that somewhere else. You might get thrown in jail. Tell me again who believes more in freedom? The people who want to allow you to do that, and it's fine. Right? So he uses that example like he's nailing it, but you're making our point for us. The same thing with speaking pro-Nazi stuff. There was a famous Supreme Court case where the KKK wanted to march through a predominantly Jewish town. Do you know who defended the KKK in that case? And by the way, they were right to do this. The ACLU. The ACLU is viewed as this uber-liberal organization. Oh, they're so they're progressive dogmatists. Not at all. They actually believe in civil liberties, even when it's inconvenient. They argued in the case, we hate everything these fucking idiots stand for. These knuckle-dragging, drooling morons pretending to be the superior race, when look at them, they're fat fucks marching down the street in a dress. We hate them, but they have a right to do it. So yes, you're allowed to speak pro-Nazi stuff. You're allowed to speak pro-KKK stuff. That's what actual freedom is. But he's like, well, at some point, maybe we should draw the line. You're right, and we do draw the line. When it comes to the one example you gave, scream fire in a movie theater, can't do that, can't scream bomb on a plane, and can't do direct threats of violence. Now, what he's trying to do is stretch the argument to say, oh, well, by them doing what they're doing, that is a direct threat of violence. No, it's not. Not at all. A direct threat of violence is looking somebody in the eyes, holding a weapon, and saying, I'm going to fucking kill you right now. That's a direct threat of violence. That's illegal. But it's not illegal to go out there and say, we worship the devil and we want to hold a rally. Not at all. You're stretching it to fit your belief system. Because here's the reality. On Fox News, they absolutely believe in freedom of speech, as long as you say the stuff that they agree with. If you don't say the stuff they agree with, then they're not in favor of it. So I guess it's actually the opposite. They're totally against freedom of speech.